Greetings everyone, this is the P Security channel, and today I'll be taking a look at AVG Internet Security. This is still their 2014 version. Well, I was waiting for their 2015 beta, but it looks like you guys are a little too anxious, so I decided to give this version a test anyway, because I haven't really tested their internet security in detail. So this is their user interface, nothing new really, we're all used to this. But security-wise, this isn't too much different from their free version, because they still have their basic signatures or computer protection, and I believe they have somewhere a link scanner, and they have the identity protection, which is their behavioral blocking feature. So this is their zero-day component, and both of these are available in the free version. Maybe their web protection, their online shield, will do some extra blocking, but overall, I don't see too much of a difference. So you can also take this as a review of the free version, because it shouldn't be too much different. Of course, it has the firewall, which the free version doesn't have. But as far as I know, their AVG firewall, it's like a very basic firewall. It doesn't have any IDS or anything like that, so the results shouldn't be very different because of that. But the results can be different if we don't have the updates, so I'm going to make sure that we're fully up to date. There you go. So AVG is ready for the test. Let us see what kind of memory usage we have on their full suite. Well, I did close the user interface. For some reason it's still running. And we have, well, AVG is known for a ton of process, but not a ton of RAM. The RAM usage is pretty moderate, I'd say. I'm looking at like 40 to 50 megabytes, I guess. And that's not too bad these days. This is standard RAM usage for any security suite. So it's not like the lightest, or it's no huge bonus to have AVG in terms of system slowdown, but it's definitely not anything bad either. So it's pretty much moderate, what you'd expect at this kind of a level of the entire security suite. So let's get started with the test. As usual, I have some links, but I have to say the links have been pretty disappointing. I've only managed to get 6 today, and I wonder where all the good malware makers went. Nowadays we're just getting PUPs and adware junk. Where are the good rootkits, the ransomware? But trust me, these links can be pretty dangerous, and if AVG doesn't protect us, we're in for trouble. So let's see what AVG can do. So this one couldn't be downloaded because AVG caught it. So I'm going to say protect me, and that's that. First link is blocked. Here goes the second one. And I'm going to run it again, and it couldn't be downloaded. So once again, I have been protected. It does protect you automatically, but you have to hit the button to remove the threat. So kind of a one-step job, but I have nothing against it. Personally, I never like AVs do silent quarantine and stuff like that. I always like to get the option, because in case of a false positive, you don't want things disappearing off your computer. So absolutely no problem with AVG's detection mechanism. So let's go ahead and download this file. And once again, threat has been removed. There we go. That's that. And we have 2 more links to go. But as far as I'm seeing here, I'm not seeing any kind of a web blocking from AVG, so that is something maybe they could put in, like all the other anti-malware companies have these days, but it doesn't really matter as long as it protects the system, which it's doing pretty well. So let's try out the last link. This one's taking a while. And the alert from AVG takes a while to pop up as well. But it does block the threat, and that is the good news. So, perfect clean sheet against these malware links. I have to say they were not the best links I've ever managed, so they were not too dangerous. But having said that, AVG did pretty well, and it blocked all of those and kept the system absolutely clean. So let's go ahead and head over to the second part of the test, where I have to disable AVG. Going to do that until restart. I don't want pop-ups in between. So we've basically turned AVG off so that I can grab my samples. Now I'm going to be using the malware pack that I used in my review of MCSoft versus Kaspersky, if you remember. So it's like, I don't know, 3 days old. So it should be a pretty good sample because basically it's just not too old, and I did verify some of these. So this should have a lot of good malware in it. So that should make up for the lack of malware links, because I just did 6 today. And it's not that I don't want to do more, it's just that these days it's really hard to get good malware. I don't know for what reason. Where did the malware writers go? If any of you writes malware, you're more than welcome to, just send me a couple. I'd love it, really. But anyway, enough of my ranting. Let's go ahead and make sure that we have 1,000 items. We indeed do. And all of these are pretty fresh malware. 3 days old isn't too bad. So I'm just going to go and do a right-click scan, and let's see what AVG can detect. Now, my biggest complaint about AVG has always been their scan, and more than the scan, the removal speed, which has been really slow, and it can get you crazy sometimes. And their user interface, I don't like this report system. I would like a separate scan window, maybe. I mean, this report system is really not that great, and sometimes the user interface doesn't update itself, so when you're removing threats, sometimes you can end up hitting the same button 10 times, and then there's a conflict within the product itself, and that can lead to a lot of problems. So I'm not a big fan of this user interface, the scan and removal procedure. I'd like these things to be improved in their 2015 version, if AVG is listening, that is. So basically here is a slider where you can basically make the scan fast, medium, basic, or dynamic based on what you're doing right now. I want it to be fast because I'm not doing anything else, but if you want to do something else, you might take it back to basic or dynamic, something like that. But the scan speeds aren't too bad, but the problem starts once we get to the removal. So I'm going to pause the video and be back when this scan is done. Right, so we have this nice little pop-up that tells us that the scan is complete. And just one more thing that I forgot to show you guys actually is that I did change one setting in this, and that is, well, where's their settings now? Okay, here we go, advanced settings. Now, here I did change one setting, and that is I decided that it should report an enhanced set of potentially unwanted programs, because I don't want anything to slip by their scanner. So basically this is one setting that is unchecked by default, but I checked it, so that's the one setting that I've changed. So now let's go ahead and clean the stuff that it's found. So we've got a lot of malware items here, so I'm basically just going to go ahead and hit remove all. Now sometimes what can happen is that once you hit it, there is basically nothing to tell you that it worked, unless you just scroll, and there you go. You can see now that some of these are saying secured, so that basically means those have been removed. And if you want, you can change the status so it can show you secure first, and that's the way you can order them by their status. But honestly, this is not a great scan interface because it doesn't really show me any progress. It doesn't have a progress bar, and it's really confusing, and some user might just not notice this. They might be over, let's say, here, and they don't even know if it's working or not. So what they'll do is they'll hit the remove all button again, and then it's going to say, well, this action could not be applied because another action has been applied. And once you hit it several times, the system can just hang up, and that can end up in a lot of trouble, especially in a really infected system. These files are just sitting there, but in a real system, when you've got these infections, they're active, and they're actively trying to avoid getting cleaned. And when all these things happen, well, the system may crash and lots of things may go wrong. So, I would really want AVG to improve this part of their user interface. It's a small thing. I'm sure their developers can do this thing. It's not really that big of a deal, and it would help out a lot because it's basically just an interface thing. But anyway, this is probably going to take a long time. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back when this whole process is done to see what it's left with. Okay, it looks like we're finally done here. Actually, I'm quite happy that I didn't go to sleep because the removal process was really slow. This is one of my major gripes with AVG. The removal speeds are really at the rock bottom. But having said that, it did remove a lot of threats, so let's see what we're left with. So we have 101 items over here. And we had 1,000 to start with. Pretty easy figure to remember. So it should be pretty easy calculating it as well. 101 left over. So that gives us, well, I guess you can see already, an 89.9% detection rate. What a shame it couldn't reach 90. But, well, so what can I say about this detection ratio? Well, this is definitely not the best I've ever seen, but it's very good considering some of the other paid products don't get quite as good detection ratios. This is almost as good as some dual engine products, so it's not bad at all. It's a pretty good detection ratio. I would say definitely one of the good ones rather than average. It's definitely better than average. So a very good detection ratio, although not the best. Let's see what protection it provides us against the things that it couldn't detect. So let's re-enable all their shields. There you go, it says we are protected now, although all this malware is still on my computer and it couldn't detect it. Let's see if their IDP can. So as you can see already, we're getting some detections from this folder, so I'm going to say protect me. I'm not sure where these are coming from because I don't think they have a cloud, do they? They have some kind of protection, I guess. Let's take a look at their advanced settings once more. They have okay, so they have some kind of cloud verification, but I don't know if this adds to the detection ratio. So maybe this just avoids false positives, but I'm not sure. Maybe it can detect stuff as well. But I don't think that's the case. I think all it does is just verifies the things that the file guard detects. But having said that, doesn't look like it's going to remove any more. But wow, if that thing is counted, it just reached a 90% detection. Great. So I'll call it 90, and that would be a pretty good detection ratio. So let's get started and let's run some of these files. Some of them may not run because, as you know, some of their friends may be missing over here. But I'm sure some will run. And what I want to see is if AVG can protect us against all these unknown files. This is interesting. It's doing something, definitely. Let's see what happens if I hit the close button. It just closes, so it's unlikely that that would have done any real damage. Some of these are not compatible. This is Windows 8, keep in mind. Most malware makers would still prefer to make malware for Windows 7 because it is much less secure. Now this appears to be something that worked, and AVG didn't tell me much about it. This is probably also in memory. I'm not seeing any kind of a response from their IDP. let's just make sure that these are working. Well, indeed, something is just chewing at my CPU, if you see there. Definitely not a good sign, but I'm not seeing too much stuff in here, so it's possible that a lot of these aren't working correctly. Okay, this one was caught. Trojan Horse. So this was some kind of a Facebook hack or something, I'm not sure. Wow, this looks interesting. So you gotta put some link in here. Whatever, this is not a link. But anyway, you're supposed to put in a link and hack. I don't know, it probably just infects your own system. But AVG has caught that one. It's a Trojan Horse, so probably it's just showing me that window, and in the background, there you go, in Windows, it just puts this file and basically just infects your own computer, while you as a fool is thinking that, well, I'm hacking Facebook, cool. But basically all you're doing is infecting your own system. So AVG caught that one, that's good. Now this is also running. Gonna close that one. I'm not sure if that is just illegal software or if it's actually something malicious. Here's one more thing that's caught. Trojan downloader. That's good. So let's remove this thing. So AVG has done pretty well so far. I'm not seeing anything major. I did see a couple of things go by though. So I'm not too pleased. Okay, something deleted itself back there, which is not a good sign. Okay, this is another interesting software, but because it's in some other language, I'll just leave it alone. It's not my domain. So basically what I'm going to do, since I didn't get to see a lot of IDP in here, I'm going to just disable AVG Signatures and run some files so that I can make sure that their zero-day component is doing a lot of work. Because I want to make this test a little bit more interesting now. So basically what I'm going to do is I'll disable their regular antivirus, and then I'll run some other malware. So I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. So basically I just have a few samples here that are looking just bad to me. I don't know why. I just randomly picked them, and we still have our identity protection, or our zero-day component, behavioral blocker, whatever you like to call it. AVG for some weird reason calls it identity protection. I don't know why yet. Maybe the guys at AVG would be able to tell you, but let's run these files and see if that can protect us. So, no alerts so far on this one. Again, no alert. Let's try running this one as well. Well, these files seem to be going around just fine without the real-time shield. Oh no, this one's taking a lot of CPU. And we have some other stuff that went in the previous test. Whoops, sorry about that. That is my host machine firewall popping up because something wants to access the internet. And now we get something from AVG. Good. So application communication request. So this is basically their firewall, I guess. And for some reason this is flickering. I don't know why. This is bad. This is a paid product. These bugs should not exist. But well, since okay, I'll go ahead and block it. I'll give AVG that one. because it did say unknown signature or something like that. This one does have a digital signature, so it's probably adware. Alright, I think we've got plenty of stuff running, and I'm not seeing too much activity from AVG's identity protection, which is pretty disappointing, because I'm sure that when I tested it for the last time, I think the identity protection did pop up quite a few times, but this time it looks like the scenario has changed, and IDP is not as good as it used to be. But anyway, who am I to say that? So basically, I'll let these files run, and then I'll reboot the computer and do my second opinion scans, and then we can decide for sure whether or not AVG zero-day components are good enough. Okay, so a couple of interesting things have happened since I rebooted the system. Now I'm getting IDP detections because probably the malware that was running on the system went active and did something malicious. So this is the identity protection. I did get another alert before, and this is the one I was able to show you guys, so it does work. So now let's wait until this threat is removed. So I'll hold on and I'll be back if I get any other interesting alerts. Our second opinion scanners have completed their job, so let's see how AVG did. First of all, Hitman Pro. We've got a malicious executable that is running. It's an active piece of malware, and it's called Google Updater with an extra R, of course. Of course, that is very legitimate. So this is a Trojan, and this has gone by. This is detected by both Bitdefender and Kaspersky, and maybe even detected by AVG as well. Keep in mind that we turned off the real-time protection to test out their IDP, but their IDP wasn't able to cope up with this thing. Now let's take a look at the results of Malwarebytes. Now Malwarebytes results are a little less promising for AVG. It detected a ton of stuff. We've got some files, processes. That is not good news at all. This file, of course, that was caught by Hitman Pro. Then we've got Trojan inject, registry key, and we've got some stolen data over here. And a malware trace again, a registry key, nothing really major. And then we've got basically one thing that has spread itself to several places. It's a Trojan agent, and it's got a file, folder, registry value. Pretty much it's got its entire family in here. So yeah, not very great. But having said that, what is my final verdict on AVG? So, well, I'm not too pleased. I mean, I did expect IDP to be a little bit better than this. I mean, it did block some stuff. I remember before restarting the computer, I said it's probably worse than it was before, but it did do a somewhat decent job. When I rebooted, it blocked 2 or 3 files and probably kept this computer from being overrun by malware. And keeping in mind that their signatures are pretty good, I don't know. I mean, this is probably my very base level protection that I can recommend. I mean, this is probably the minimum that I would expect a product to achieve in order to recommend it to people and to be usable. Of course, this is not top of the line. I'm not entirely satisfied with their security, especially zero-day. IDP seems to be very silent, and it only blocks threats when they do a lot of stuff, so I don't know, maybe for a regular user, for a novice user, maybe this is just about enough, but it's not too secure. It's probably baseline, just pass, call it whatever you like. It's kind of like that. I mean, the signatures are pretty good, but as an entire suite, I don't see any specific reason to buy Internet Security. The firewall pops up a couple of times, but that doesn't protect you too much, to be honest. And apart from that, they just protect your emails and they have some fixed performance, which is not too useful. I've tried it out, it's not something special. You could easily do better with free apps. So really, looking at this, there is absolutely no reason I can think of to buy internet security apart from, supporting AVG for their good, you know, thinking to give you a free AV or whatever. But apart from that, there's technically no reason to purchase their internet security. The security offered by this suite is not at par with some other things that you could purchase for the same price, and it's definitely not too much different from the free version. But talking about the final verdict, irrespective of price and all that kind of stuff, as I said, it's just okay. I mean, if you're looking for something that will just get the job done and maybe not ask you too many questions, I guess this may be fine. But as I said, if you're really someone who wants good security, if you're really concerned about your security, I don't think that AVG will fulfill your needs. Personally, I wouldn't use it, but I guess some people can. It's just about good enough, but that's my final verdict. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Hope I made it clear for you. If you're planning on purchasing, I don't think I would recommend anybody to purchase their internet security. They're free antivirus, of course, you can use if you're not that much of a security guy and you don't really have too much to worry about in terms of security. It should be able to protect you with its signatures, and it's somewhat okay zero-day component, although not great. But as I said, if you're someone who's really concerned about security and you want the best product to guard your system, you want top-of-the-line defense, AVG is not going to do that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Have a nice day. But stay tuned and comment, rate, and subscribe as usual.